Thank you very much for this session. The session on advanced biofuel and beyond, this was supposed to have been moderated by Mr. Dinesh Dayanand Jagdale, who has not been able to come due to preoccupation. And in his place, I propose to chair the session. Biofuels in it themselves is a terminology which is known to the country right for almost 5 decades, 6 decades, when the gobar gas plants were introduced. Gobar gas is nothing, but it is a biofuel, a fuel originating from the biological waste, that is manure. And from there, these gobar gas plants provided the fuel initially for the household, then to a cluster of households, and then to a cluster of village, and then in some areas to a few villages. From there, it was taken to some extent, and thereafter came a stage when the maintenance of gobar gas plant was little difficult, and there was an arrival of a more handy kerosene stove, which virtually came from the US Air Force. They used to have this small, what you call as a device. You fill oil and pump it and then do the heating and cooking. So that kerosene stove, earlier the pressure stove and then the wick stove, this substituted the gobar gas plants. And all around the village and smaller towns, they thought it more viable, more handy, quick to use, and quick to replenish with less smoke. That is how this gobar gas plants or the biogas took a backside. With the passage of time, the kerosene became relatively little scarce and more expensive. Indian refineries are able to make only small quantities. The kind of crude that we have and the kind of basket of crude that we are importing had low content of kerosene. So most of the kerosene was being imported from USSR. And with the passage of time and the strain on foreign exchange resources and the increase in price of kerosene, the kerosene import became more and more expensive. But for the political reason, the kerosene was highly subsidized fuels, and the government subsidy bill on fertilizer kept on mounting. After fertilizer, kerosene was one of the major guzzlers of government subsidy. Late, it turned out that the kerosene, there was a search for a substitute for kerosene, and came the LPG. LPG again was imported, but it is obtained from a fractional distribution of the crude that we have, and we refine into petroleum, aviation turbine, and a host of petrochemical which we collect during the fractional distillation. In that, the LPG is extracted in quite large quantity from the crude that we refine and the basket of crude that we import. And in addition to that, LPG was found to be so handy, so clean, and so silent a fuel that LPG overtook the kerosene. And today, even in the villages, the Prime Minister's Jwala Yojana is trying to provide, or say has provided to a large number of households with the LPG connections. Cities, some 26 cities are already being provided by the city gas. So this is a part of the bioenergy giving rise again to fossil fuel energy, and this fossil fuel energy, because of its low emission, higher degree of burning, low what you call as the carbon particulate in the smoke, rather it is smokeless. So it is finding more consumer acceptance, but environmentally it is though least polluting among all the fuels that we are having because of the high quality of burning. The consumer acceptability of LPG is very high. So that goes about the domestic and small and medium scale industries. But large industry, large transportation, large chemical industry, large boilers which were earlier based on coal or prior to that on firewood, they all require fuel to operate at mega level. So the LPG is not viable because LPG is being supplied more for the household and small industry consumption. There is a search for fuels which are regeneratable, renewable, and within that based on biomaterial. Now in biomaterial we get agro-based, we got apart from corn and sugar, we get which are the base for alcohol. We generate gas from various agro waste material and from the urban waste. Now, one word I used was that not in my syndrome. Waste to energy, in having the biofuels, waste to energy is one of the mainstays, or rather one of the main source. In that there are two or three main broad heads under which there are technologies and different temperature, pressure, and what you call as a burning under controlled environment or heating under controlled environment, which gives right to a particular biofuel, biogas, which can be used as a fuel. There is a methodology in which you have the wood chips. They are moistened, the water in that, they ferment, and from that the gas is extracted. But then again, it is yet to be seen that it destroys your trees, your wood, your environment, your weather, your climate. So again, there has to be a second thought on all the biofuels which are based on biomaterial, which means living material, agriculture waste. Agriculture waste, one can go ahead, but wherever there is a generation of gas, before the gas comes, there is a fermentation which gives out a typical different kinds of smells, and some are tolerable, sometimes foul, some are very foul. Those create a problem of social acceptability in this neighborhood where you have these. And there comes the main obstacle, that is not in my backyard, not in my neighborhood. So biofuels, yes, they will be a good futuristic thing provided we are able to devise and have the recycling of the waste or the air. From one part is the gas you accumulate, but what you discharge into the environment, that needs to be chemically treated to remove that unacceptability. Only then these bio things would become usable and manageable at a commercial scale. Because doing pilots are a different thing. But getting it commercialized and doing it on a commercial scale has to find a social acceptability in the production process, transportation process, distribution process, and last mile distribution or dispensation to the consuming unit, whether it is industrial, whether it is large, whether it is small, whosoever is a consumer. So according to me, this is where we stand in terms of biofuels, which is of course the third level, because in the biodiesel it is either it is the palm oil. First you must have the cultivation of palm oil, then it should be enough for the human consumption, and it's only the surplus which can be diverted to biodiesel. Because if there is no palm oil for human consumption, where is the question of its diversion to the biodiesel? Animal fat is, yes, one alternative for making the biodiesel, and therefrom you can have the biofuel, further refining the this what you call as the animal fat, converting to diesel and extracting the gas which can be used as a biofuel. So these are the broad things which are visible on the surface. What is available in the lab will maybe we are able to get from the experts what is there in the lab or what is there which is getting commercialized in the biofuels. With this, gentleman, I invite Mr. Rakesh Singh to enlighten us on this issue.